about mercury and fillings and treating of cavities that we maybe didn't know 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Well, surprise, surprise, mercury is a neurotoxin. The sweet little people who made hats 100 years ago would use mercury in their felting process, and they just didn't know what they didn't know, so they used their bare hands to do this, and some of them would then go cuckoo, and then that's how the term Mad Hatter came about. And so that cute little character that you see in Alice in Wonderland is really just somebody who is mercury toxic. So we've known this for a really long time. What I was taught in dental school was that, the old silver fillings, which I still had to place. I had to place one for my board exams. Still, I think they ended that a few years after I graduated, so they don't have to do that anymore. But I had to do it for my board exam. And what they taught us in school is, the filling is 50% mercury and 50% other stuff. So other metals, silver, tin, those kinds of things. And that when you mixed it together and placed it into a tooth, that the mercury was then bound, it chemically changed, and it could not escape. Well, unfortunately, we know now that it does escape a tiny little bit. You can even go on YouTube and just look up smoking tooth videos, and you can find multiple videos where they show that anytime you apply heat or friction to those old silver fillings, you will get a tiny bit of off-gassing of mercury vapor. So that's one thing. Little tiny micro exposures, probably not the best for us. Again, exposure to mercury vapor over time, and mercury likes to settle in organs and fatty tissue, one of which is the brain. Not amazing for us. Well, if you think about those tiny little micro exposures, and thankfully most dentists aren't placing these anymore, unless they're doing a lot of mission work in third world countries, they still are. But for the most part, here in the States and Canada, UK, not placing them. So what happens, if you've got mercury that's released with heat and friction? So you drink coffee, you brush your teeth, you grind your teeth, you chew gum, all of those things, tiny little bits of mercury vapor. What happens when one of those fillings needs to be replaced? What is your dentist going to do? We're going to take a high-speed drill at 800,000 RPM to that sucker. Jesus. And let it rip. And so if we do that with no protection, then you, the patient, that sweet little dental assistant who is probably a female of childbearing years, and your dentist who's been working in that shit for who knows how many years is all going to get this huge plume of mercury vapor exposure, which is not good for anybody in the room. And, JADA, the Journal of the American Dental Association, did a study back, it's been quite a few years now, but it was basically a celebratory study of looking at the mercury levels of dentists over the years. And they were celebrating the fact that, and I can't remember, this was like maybe 2016-ish. And they were celebrating the fact that dentists only had slightly higher mercury levels than the general population who ate a whole bunch of fish. And this was, well into the 21st century, that we still had more mercury exposure than the general population. But yet, it's fine. It's all fine. There's nothing to see here.
It's so crazy because, I think like everything's science and right until it's not anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's like, when it's not, why don't we just stop trying to hide it and save face and just say it's not? We've learned, we've evolved, we've changed. That's okay. That is science. It's okay to change and learn more as we evolve.
I think that there are so many people who are either scared of litigation or scared of public humiliation, that they just can't admit it until literally the generation dies off. Really, like, good and
Yeah.
well, that's what the last 5 years has taught us. That there will be no admission of wrong until those people are no longer with us, until they have moved on, crossed the rainbow bridge.
Well, I mean, we could probably talk about the last 5 years for a whole nother podcast. But to me, what has been and in a sense, I'm grateful because I think a lot of the stuff we've been talking about has been an output of what happened 5 years ago. And
Yes.
to this day, we still hear these stories and these narratives. And to me, it's just, and again, like, I'm not that smart. I just like question, well, why to everything? Why would someone say this? What is someone trying to sell me? What is the reason for this? That's the only thing. And I learned it early. Like my uncle told me when we went to Six Flags Great America one time, he's like, we're going to go left because everyone else is going right. And when everyone's going right, you should wonder why no one's going left. And I just take that with me. I think about it that way all the time.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why is everyone going right? Why is no one going left? Who wants people to go right? Who doesn't want people to go left?
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of thing. And I think the silver lining to the last 5 years and everything we've gone through is that it kind of woke people up that like, hey, just because someone's quote an expert or an agency of some sort doesn't mean that they have all the answers, and that science changes, it evolves, and that's okay. And we would be in a much better position, in my opinion, now if we would have let it evolve and we would have learned with it instead of just holding the line on a narrative that has not translated well over the years, we'll just say.
Yeah. Oh, totally agree.
Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.